Welcome to How to Let Go of a Narcissist, where we explore healing journeys and tools to help survivors of narcissistic abuse reclaim their power. I'm your host, Marv Curtis, and today I'm honored to welcome Dawn as our guest. She's found her way through lots of difficulties in her life, lots of challenges, and she's come out on top. She's here to share insights that might help you on your path. Welcome, Dawn.
Hi, how are you?
Really good. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Let's just jump right in here. Can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to this point in your healing journey?
Yeah, I'm 58-year-old and I'm a well-educated woman. I got 9 years of med school and I own my own medical massage practice for the last almost 20 years. I've also had 106 plus therapeutic level foster kids, besides adopting 4 and having 2 of my own. What brought me here is I couldn't wrap my head around what was going on in a toxic relationship. And even though I was highly educated and thought I was smarter than that, I had to figure out why I had fell into that trap.
So when you say fell into the trap, describe the trap just a little bit.
A toxic relationship, severely toxic.
Had you had any other experiences with that kind of relationship before this one?
Yeah, I didn't realize it until this one, and I thought about it. But yes, I have as a child, and then again with a relationship prior to this one.
And in either of those prior experiences, you didn't really know what was happening to you.
No, no.
And when you got into the last one, did you connect the dots to the first ones, or did it take a while?
It took a while.
Okay.
It took a
So
while.
I need to ask, do you think of yourself as a people pleaser?
People pleaser, I'm not real sure. Yes, I guess so, but more of a servant. I'm more of a server.
A
Mhm,
server. Yeah.
mhm.
So oftentimes in a narcissistic relationship, either you're trying to protect yourself through being a server or a people pleaser,
Yeah,
or later on, that's what attracts other people to you, is because they feel like perhaps you'll put up with their stuff a little longer.
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
was there a specific moment or realization that made you decide to break free from this kind of narcissism?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Last year in November 2024, he got arrested, and my instinct was correct, and I was proven right. He had a warrant for his arrest.
And you hadn't known about it.
No, no, I had asked him, and he had told me no. So after 19 months, I listened. I believed him. Anyway, so when he went to jail, I got access to his phone, which my instinct was, of course, to look at it because I had been having some something talking to me already. And so he was in jail for 3.5 months. And during that time, everything that I was looking for came to fruition in what I found on his phone.
Hmm.
His behaviors of lying and betrayal and need for, I'm going to call it validation now that I know what the word is. From it doesn't matter who, males, females, it didn't matter. Just he needed it.
Yeah.
And it was on there. Inappropriate things he was looking at on his phone. It was just totally not the person that I thought I was with
So
at
you were
all.
getting some intuitive hits that made you concerned.
I was,
When did,
yes,
when did you start having those?
like the end of July, 1st of August last year in 2024.
And
That was
what
after,
happened?
so that had been a year that we had already been seeing each other.
So you'd been together for a year or seeing each other for a year, and
Yeah.
then you started getting, it's kind of like red flags.
Oh, yeah.
And what were they?
Withholding intimacy. Now he wasn't so much into me. Now he wanted to go do his own thing. He was into doing a hobby and he wanted to be in that all the time. More and more of the we're gonna be so happy one day, but it was only when I would get frustrated, then he would tell me that, like trying to keep me where he wanted me, breadcrumbing, basically. Um,
Mhm.
oh my God, the lies were every word out of his mouth, every word, every word. And cheating, not loyal, and it wasn't just with women. And it just I was starting, and if I'd walk in and he was on the phone, "Oh, I gotta go, somebody just walked I got another phone call coming." He wouldn't say, "I walked in the room." It's, "I got another phone call." No, he didn't. "I couldn't talk to you for" I saw a text on his phone. I'm sorry I had to cut our conversation short, but my girlfriend hasn't been working, and she's been here every day this week. There is never a day that I don't work. I own my own medical massage practice. I am at work every single day. Live.
So lies and lies. So we're going to ask you to go back to the very beginning of your relationship. No red flags at all?
No. No, it was exactly what I wanted. Everything I said, he played that role to a T.
It's almost like they have a second sense of what you need and they can be that person.
Right. Exactly. He did it, and he did it well. Well,
Uh,
because I had my wall up because I've been, through bad stuff. So that's why I was like, how did he get around that? What happened?
yeah.
But it's not me. That's what I had to come to grips with.
So it takes a really, actually, a very intelligent person to be able to be that good at faking it.
Oh God, yeah.
And he was good.
Yeah.
So as you kind of came out of this, what was one strategy maybe or a tool that made the biggest difference in your recovery process?
Well, research was a big thing for me. Researching what I thought he had, the narcissism, was a big help for me. And then tapping with the tapping that we did, that really has helped as well. Crazy I didn't think of that already since I do that in my medical massage practice, but that's okay. I figured it out. We figured it out. But the research really helped me, and hearing other people talk about getting on and hearing reels on narcissism and how people are explaining it, and self people who have narcissism who get on here and say, but I just dove headfirst into that kind of stuff. And it really helped me go, "Oh my God, right there it was. There it is. Yep, that's what I saw." And it just helped me put things in perspective.
How did you know what to look for?
I just started researching behaviors. And I had a couple of friends of mine who had been with narcissists who said, "Dawn, you need to research this right here." And then I met a couple of people who were narcissists who who say they're a narcissist with borderline personality disorder. And so I just started, it just started coming, and I just stayed in it.
So for the people who were narcissists, did they warn you off and say, watch out for me?
They did. And they told me it's never gonna change. The lies are never gonna stop. They're not gonna love you because they don't know how to love like you do. It's not about love, for them, it's about a transaction. And I mean, they were just telling me everything. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. They were so self-aware. Some are very self-aware, obviously,
Yes.
and many don't know that. They just believe that they are the best, the most intelligent, and what's the matter with you?
Yeah, that's what mine was.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge you faced as you were going through your healing process?
Wrapping my mind around that. How did somebody that was so perfect in a blink of an eye turn around and be the biggest monster that I'd ever known? How could he have done that? And why would he have done that?
Hmm. And was it that he'd actually changed, or was it just that your awareness had changed?
And probably that my awareness had changed. I mean, I do think that the discarding phase had started when my awareness when I started honing in on that. So probably a little bit of both. But when you start seeing those signs and you start feeling that instinct, there's something.
It almost seems like once they feel like you've figured them out, that's a big trigger for them to kind of start to discard. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that's when it absolutely starts rolling downhill.
Yeah. So if you could go back and give your past self one piece of advice, especially during your hardest moments, what would it be?
I would tell myself to give myself grace because we're all gonna make mistakes. We all are. And it's okay. Just learn from them
Mhm.
and hopefully pay attention for the red flags and for the things that don't feel right and listen to your instinct because it's usually right and get yourself out of it a little bit quicker.
Yeah. So if you think back to the hardest moments, what was kind of the peak hard moment for you?
The realization that who I thought I was gonna be spending my rest of my life with, it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I wasn't really letting go of anything that was mine because he was never really mine. He never really was. That was never really who I wanted him to be. It was really who he was, not what I wanted.
Yeah. That reality is a hard pill.
Yeah, it was hard to swallow.
Now, a lot of people hang on to the belief that if I could just love him enough, or if I could just be good enough, that will be the momentum for him to change and go back to this person I was hoping he really was. Did
Right.
you experience that at all?
I did. Matter of fact, I kept saying, "If I just wait. He'll change, it's gonna change. He may be going through a rough patch and la, la, la. There's no way that he could be doing this to me. He wouldn't be doing this. This is he loved me. Yeah, okay. No, he loved himself and he needed supply and he needed somebody to do what he needed until he didn't need it anymore.
Right. Sometimes when people get into that mindset that if I could just love them enough or be good enough, and when they're in that mode, it turns it back so that this is actually your fault or your problem. And people will often think, well, I must be the problem if he hasn't changed. Did you experience that?
I did. I really thought, what did I do? Yeah, what did
How
I
did,
do?
how did you get past that? That's a hard thing to change.
Research. In the learning, I figured out and learned that it wasn't me to begin with. I wasn't the bad person. It wasn't had nothing to do with me or defining who I was. I was a good person. That's why he did come and want me in his life because
Yeah,
of my empathy and my concern and my kindness and my desire to love unconditionally. That's what they're looking for.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there are probably people listening who are either in the early stages or just wondering if maybe they've got a similar situation. If you were going to give a message to these people who are still struggling and still wondering what's going on, what would your message be?
It would be the same. It would be that it's gonna be fine. You will work through this. It's gonna hurt and it's hard. You put a lot into it, but that's because you're a wonderful person, and that's what they were looking for. You just need to remember your worth because you are worthy, and you deserve to be loved correctly, and you deserve to love yourself correctly, and to remember that you are somebody who's worth, somebody loving and a friendship and being encouraged. Just because this person discarded you doesn't define you, doesn't create you. It only lets you know that you were in the wrong place and you learned a lesson. And next time, just go a little slower and a little bit more careful.
I really like that. I think the idea that they are smart enough to pick really wonderful people
Yes,
and that's who you are, deserve to be recognized.
yes. How do you now go forward into after having this kind of trauma? How do you and because of the personality that I have, the empath, how do you go forward into another relationship with somebody without expecting it to be So here's the thing. I've never ever, all my friends and everybody like, don't settle down, just date around. Blah, blah. I don't know what that looks like.
You don't have to date around. I think that's just a way of saying get yourself out there. The question that it feels to me like you're asking is, just am I safe to get into another relationship without falling for the same baloney?
That might be part of it.
Here's the thing that happens, and it's a really important thing. When you are highly empathetic, highly compassionate, highly intuitive, you are automatically attractive to people who are needy. If you are not aware of those gifts that you have, and your heart is just completely open, and it's a giant heart, it's open to everybody who shows up, you're just going to get everybody to show up. Once you've learned this is what I do, this is how it works, you can begin to be more selective and say, I now am able to attract people who are more like me. So I'm going to just be a marriage counselor here for just a minute. You've got two kinds of relationships. You've got opposites attract.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with narcissists. It's just an incredibly powerful opposite between them and you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got finding people who are more like you. The truth of the matter is that for empaths and highly sensitive people, you will be happier with someone who is more like you.
Yeah.
And so you just, once you are aware of that and you recognize and you say, okay, the fireworks, the excitement of somebody who's completely different also has such a huge downside. I'm going to set that aside for a little. And that doesn't mean you can't marry an opposite. You just can't marry a narcissist opposite or have a relationship with. So set that aside. When you say, I'm going to look for somebody who's safe, who's peaceful, who's calm, who's a lot like me, then you will start to attract those kinds of people. They will find you. So the nice thing about being as empathetic as you are is that you automatically attract all kinds of people, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now all you have to do is say, I'm going to be a little bit more selective, and I'm going to look for people who are also highly sensitive. We can understand each other because highly sensitive are not narcissists.
No, we're not.
And once you sort of make that shift, your reticular activator will automatically start sorting for those kinds of people. And you'll just know, no, this person is not like me, not like me. And you're nice to them, polite, but don't plan to date them.
Yeah.
And the right person is going to find you. I mean, here's the great thing about you. Your spirit is just brilliant. It's all out there. It's huge. Lots of people are going to be attracted to it, and you need to be out in the world, and people are going to find you. The ones who are looking for you are the people that you're looking for. And just by being your beautiful self, someone's going to find you.
Awesome. Thank you. I just been like, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I don't even know.
People will find you. And as you continue in your practice and you set up your own podcast, someone's going to find you. And they're going to be happy to you. And you're just going to take your time and you're going to listen to your body. And the nice thing about the intuition that you have is if you ask for your intuition's help, which is, it's the portal to the divine. And I don't know where you are spiritually.
Oh, I'm Christian.
That's your portal. It's not just your intuition. It's your spirit guides. It's the Holy Ghost. It's God, however you call it.
All the above.
Call on it. Hey, yes or no, is this person safe for me? And your body, your intuition, your spirit guides will tell you right off the bat, yes or no. But they only answer if you asked. So you got to make a practice of asking.
You know, Marv, I asked. I was praying on in the end of July, first part of August last year, when I started feeling something was wrong. And I kept saying, if I could just get a hold of his phone. And I started praying on it. And I had started asking for prayer for God to show me direction because I really had a feeling that something was wrong.
There you go.
And it was not 2 weeks later, Marv, when he got arrested, and he said to me, "Go get my phone."
Wow.
And I was like, if that ain't a God wink, I don't know what is.
Well, there you have it. Unfortunately, not everybody has it as easy as you do. Getting those kinds of winks are hard for a lot of people.
I know.
But when you're sensitive, it's a lot easier. So that's a blessing.
It was absolutely. Now I'm fixing to start going and speaking at women's shelters, battered women's shelters. I'm fixing to go tell my story to these women because, and you always say, because I'm writing that book, right? And I'm like, I don't know what else could go. And then I said, oh, here's another chapter. So we're going to have a sequel here. But the thing is that the narcissist, if women are in a battered women's shelter, more than likely they've dealt with a narcissist.
And more than likely, they're an HSP. They're
Like
highly
me.
sensitive, and that attracted the narcissist, and that led to abuse. I mean, it's almost just a formula. If that's where they are, we can make some assumptions that are going to be 90% correct. They're HSP and don't know it and don't know how to manage it. And they've been attracting narcissists their whole lives and probably were patterned as a child.
Yeah. Hello. I can attest.
And that's where you start with those people, is you say, you've got to start with your childhood and recognize that your survival strategy led you to be a people pleaser, which is what gets you into the situation that you have with these men.
Rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go talk to these women because I'm just like, you know what? I had the abuse from my past. I had my death. I had, and my book is called But God, because he didn't let me die, semicolon, but God, semicolon, because he didn't let me die last year. So my story is still going. So I'm going to go tell these women how there's hope, and your life is, I've been through sexual abuse. I was a dancer. I did all kinds of things I shouldn't have done as a kid, but I had to do what I had to do to get to where I am today. And I'm successful, and you can be too. Stop bringing yourself out of that with those words, because that's not who you are. It's not who God
Excellent.
created you to be.
All right. And so now I'm going to ask you a personal question. Some of this part of our conversation would be really interesting on the podcast. Do you mind if I edit some of this into the podcast?
No.
But I think this part about talking about your experience and dating and talking to women in shelters, that's really useful information and gives a lot of insight into your experience.
I've lived it. We might as well teach it.
Might as well.
Yeah. I'm ready to tell it. I'm ready to go fly with it.
That's brilliant. Well, Dawn, thank you so much for being as open and honest and sharing this story. Your wisdom, I'm sure, will benefit many people.
I'm afraid so.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we'll hope to see you on the next episode.